Why are so many students passive learners who do not come to class prepared, ready to engage in the learning process? Today's topic, how to get your students to come to class prepared. I have a question for you. As a nurse educator in the clinical setting, you expect your students to come to clinical prepared. Have your stethoscope, uniform, name badge, clinical paperwork, and any supplemental textbooks. And what happens if they don't come to clinical prepared? You would have no problem sending them home. But I have $1 million question. Why do so many educators have a much lower bar in the classroom with no expectations of similar preparation? As we look at our expectations, a statement that really rocked my world as an early novice educator, no student will rise to low expectations. Your students will go no higher than what you expect. And so my question is, as a nurse educator, what do you expect? Do you have a low bar? Or do you have high but realistic expectations and communicate very clearly to come to class prepared? But this is why this is so important. To develop the clinical judgment that your students require for safe practice, they must be able to do two things: critically think and clinically reason in order to have the outcome of a correct clinical judgment. Now, the bottom line is that critical thinking is the essence of understanding essential content where students can act on what they know and understand. This takes place in the classroom. Clinical reasoning is the thinking in action and reasoning at the bedside of patient care. If they don't understand essential content, they are unable to reason with it and will be unable to make a correct clinical judgment. Therefore, it is imperative that they come to class prepared because it's just as important as clinical. So how do we accomplish this essential objective? What do you require when you go to a movie theater or a concert? A ticket. And in the same way, we can provide strategies to provide practical tickets to class. These can be a short quiz. These can be a portion of an active learning case study that they work through, having read the textbook, come to class prepared. Or I'm going to share with you one worksheet that I've developed that my students found really helpful as a clinical adjunct. It's called lab planning. And what this worksheet is, it is a simple worksheet that takes the essence of with any content that you're teaching, what are those essential labs that you are teaching in that content? Usually, for example, like in heart failure, there'd be sodium, potassium, creatinine, and a B natriuretic peptide. Identify your need-to-know labs for your content that you're teaching in class. This one-page worksheet called Lab Planning has, in essence, requires the red flag data of that lab, the physiologic significance of that lab, the normal range, but then the final category are the nursing assessments and interventions required with a bad and abnormal lab. So for example, if that creatinine is 2.5 and it's too high, what are some essential assessments that the nurse will do as a result of that lab? And this is a nuanced nurse thinking skill that we can teach our students. And you can use this worksheet as a ticket to class, one of many creative strategies that you can use, or as well as in the clinical setting. And it's on my website, keithrn.com, that you can download. So as you look at your expectations for your students, what do you expect? Could you raise that bar? So what was your takeaway? I hope that if you have a low bar, you will raise that bar, and more importantly, institutionalize that bar by placing it in your syllabus so your students have that contract and it's clearly communicated the consequences. If they don't come with a ticket, they will lose a point. And I have learned early on in my journey that students will do just about anything for a point or two. And what will be your next step? I want to encourage you, raise the bar of classroom preparation and what you expect. And I want you to be aware that there's a link in this video to get the free download of the lab planning worksheet. If you found this content helpful, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Think Like a Nurse, and share this video with others. Go deeper on this topic and receive contact hours inside my all-inclusive membership for educators that provides innovative tools to develop the clinical judgment as well as essential teaching to transform the way that you teach to better prepare your students for practice and licensure. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.